There we go. So we're going to be speaking with Sheldon Laing from Labrador West Community Garden. So Sheldon, you can go ahead and start your presentation.
Perfect, thanks. Everybody can hear me? Yeah, okay, good. Hold on, I'll get the screen up right now. Everybody can see the screen, hopefully? Yeah,
I hear you well, Shel.
perfect, good.
Yes, I can.
So first off, thanks everyone for attending today, just to try and find out who we are, what we do up here, some of the issues that we've kind of had over the years, and what we actually prospect for the future of the garden. So today we're just going to go through a few of those things with us. So who we are. First, I'll start who am I? Um, when I was doing my horticulture diploma, the University of Guelph used to ask us all the time to introduce ourselves and how we actually got involved in agriculture and gardening. And I enjoy telling my story. You guys can read through the little bio on me if you want to there. But mine started about in 2014 with an employee of mine on night shift one night. And we were having a chat, and I overheard him talking about planting potatoes. And that ventured into that summer, him showing up at my house, us digging up an 8 foot by 12 foot plot, planting potatoes that year, doing a harvest, and it kind of fell in love ever since. The year after, it turned into 4 times that plot. The year after that, we're putting in garden beds, a greenhouse. Everyone knows how addictive this is, and how time-consuming it becomes. But we look at, say, 12, 15 years later, and here I am today, giving a presentation to you guys on our community garden. So a very brief history on the community garden. If we go back and look at some of the permitting from the town of Labrador City, it dates back to around the mid 1970s. Every year it's been operated under some capacity since then. So we're almost 50 years into the garden, and we've had some form. It's never been incorporated until 2018, but there's always been some type of operation there. The garden right now, as it sits, is about 3.5 acres. There's about 173 plots of land there. There's 1,200 square foot per plot. 168 of those plots are actually reserved for members to actually join with us. 5 of those plots are reserved for the community gardens to use for growing vegetables for sales at our farmers markets. Back in 2018, we incorporated as a not-for-profit. This actually opened the doors quite a bit for some financial stability for us. So we were actually able to apply for more grants, expand our operation a bit more, upgrade some of the buildings we have there. So if anyone's never been there, this is a map of Lab West. As you approach from the east, we'll call it, across right here. The gardens is located right here off the highway, if everyone can see it. Maybe a better reference would be Canadian Tire and Walmart are over in this area. Everybody, the garden is right around here. So it's a large piece of land. It's just off the highway. If you passed east or west through here, chances are you drove by it and probably seen it along the side of the highway. It's a fairly large piece of land there. So how we operate. We actually service 3 communities. There's Labrador West is typically considered Labrador City and the town of Wallbush. But we also have members from Fermont, Quebec as well that have joined, come down and being part of our garden. Since 2018, it's been officially a board of directors that's run the organization. And everything that's there is membership based. It's so the ownership is based with the membership itself. The plot of land you pay for, we expect you to service it and maintain it to some degree. So if you do get a plot of land from us, that 1,200 square foot, we actually ask you to actually till it. We actually ask you to weed it, to plant vegetables to it, to utilize the land to some degree. The operating capital that we actually generate is actually based on membership fees, the seeds and soil amendment sales, which I'll go through a little bit what we do there for that, and the vegetable sales and our community partnerships. And just so everyone's aware, we actually have 0 employees. There's no one employed or servicing us on payroll to the community gardens. We run it with a board of directors, our volunteers, and our community partners. So the board consists of 8 elected members. We've been able to fill these spots quite consistently each year. And on average, we have about 20 to 25 members who are part of our volunteer list and about 5 to 10 non-members. And that's just community members that fill time and come up and give us a hand throughout the year, whether it's through harvest, through planting, even through maintenance sometimes. So our membership, what's actually included in the membership? You get a piece of land. It's roughly 1,200. Sometimes it's a bit bigger, a bit smaller, but it's about 1,200 square foot. You can have access to that during our grow season, which is mid-May to mid-October. We provide some discounted pricing on seeds, our seed potato, our fertilizer, and our lime. And some of the seed we actually offer is the culturally specific types for our area. So we offer rutabaga for free. We offer cabbage for free. We actually offer beets for free. So that's all part of the membership. When you join up with us, this comes along with it. We have full access to 15 Honda tillers, 4-line trimmers, 2 water pumps, and about 50 1,100-liter water storage tanks that are on site, spread out through the garden. All the fuel and maintenance for the motorized equipment is included in our membership. And that membership price right now sits at about, for a regular member, it's $40 with HST included, and seniors get it for $30, HST included. That's a full year's membership. If we renew each year, you get to keep your same plot the whole bit to go forward. So you also get access to about 160 people, about 160 members who various degrees of learning and skill, but you actually get access to all those folks. They all like to share their knowledge with you. So going through some of the finance with us, our capital expenditure, 65% of what we spend each year is donated from community partners. And when I say community partners and that donation, I don't just mean money. I also mean services in kind as well. We get quite a bit come through for in-kind service for us. The remainder of our generation, our capital is actually generated through membership fees, the seed and vegetable sales. So the vegetable sales would be through our farmers market. The seeds would be through our annual seed campaigns. And our primary mandate. So if we go back to what some mandates are about growing food, the whole bit, what we try to do is just keep it affordable and accessible. We try to keep it somewhat simple. At $40, you get quite a bit to join a membership with the community garden. So as long as we can keep it that way, it's good. The idea is that if we have projects come through, which you'll see as I go through, we have quite a few, we don't need to increase those membership fees to finance or fund those projects. The general membership should stay about the same the whole time. All right, so what have we accomplished? Back in 2011, it was noted on a food assessment for Labrador West. I think Goose Bay had one as well. That a farmer's market would do well and trying to provide some locally grown food to people in the area. In about, I want to say 2017, somewhere around the Canada's 150th anniversary. I wasn't part of the board at the time, but the board of directors decided to host a farmer's market. 10 years later, that farmers market is still going strong. We have it's only an annual farmers market, but we have one every year. It's going very, very well. The market's actually expanded to a point where we actually get a COA involved into after COVID to try and get a tent. It was being offered in different vendors around town and different services, but we wanted to expand this to actually make it like a fall festival in September every year during the harvest. So COA got on board just after COVID, and they provided some substantial funding for a 20-foot by 40-foot tent. There was lots of barricades involved into it, the whole bit. They helped quite a bit with this. There's some photos of the farmers market. We usually host it at our local high school here. The 40-foot by 10 is over here. Some of our stuff we're doing here. So with that, we also noted that the farmers market plot development needed to be done as well. We had relied on all the vegetables be sold to be donated from community members themselves in our community garden. What we started doing then was saying we had a dedicated plot where we can grow just to harvest the vegetables to bring to this and sell. We did. So we actually were able to raise quite a bit of funding in 2017-18. We developed a 1/4 acre plot. We installed 26 raised beds, which you can see in some of these pictures here. on this to expand that. And all the food that's grown here is actually sold at the farmers market. We harvest this every year. It's been great ever since. And all of this, the wood, the development, the soil, everything's been paid by local organizations. So it's our community partners that are paying for this. So as you can see through here, this is some of the photos of the growth up there. These are some of the drone photos we have of the actual farmers market plot right here that we put aside for it and developed. We also started doing some stuff for limited mobility. First, people with limited mobility issues. We had some senior members and some issues, or some members with medical ailments or physical ailments that were leaving the garden because they found it a bit too difficult. The traditional methods of tilling, shoveling, harvesting, the whole bit started to get a bit hard for them. So, in an effort to try and keep them around and close some of those generation gaps that we're seeing around between younger generations, older generations in agriculture, we tried to keep them around. So, this man here, Dave, said, if you can find the beds, I'll put them together for you. So, this wonderful man, I found 24 of these veg truck raised beds. We found a funding partner through CRS TV. They provided us with the nearly 20,000 just to put all this together. He built every one of these for us, and yeah, it's been great ever since. It's been just a consistent expansion with us. So we started putting in benches, picnic tables around this, and what we started noticing was it's become a social hotspot. These guys go up, they have their coffees, they chat. The kids come over, they're showing them stuff. It's turned out really good. So it's been a great win-win on this one. And these are the beds we're using here. I'm not sure if people have seen them before, but we have them at the schools here as well. So then we move into some soil sampling and soil development. A bit more on the technical side with it. We started looking at ways to try and reduce our fertilizer use in the garden. And based on my background, we really started wanting to get into soil development. So we've tried to find a way to teach people how to stop becoming so reliant on fertilizer and start looking at soil texture, soil structure, and how they're actually going to use organic matter to actually build that structure to retain their nutrient in their soil. So a portion of what we're doing now is since 21, we started doing annual sampling campaigns for plots. Members come in, they drop their soil samples off to us. We package those up, we send them out. We get the results back. It's paid for by the membership, and it's actually partially funded through community partners as well. And we get these results back. So when the results come in, we actually have these campaigns. We sit down with all these members and we go through what the results actually mean, what the numbers mean, how to actually adjust those numbers. If they want to go with a modern agricultural method, say of using a fertilizer of some sorts, a commercial fertilizer, or if they want to go through a soil development phase where they want to add different amendments to the soil to try and develop that soil a bit better to retain that. So we go through all that with them on site. That's all free as part of our service to our members. During COVID, gardening became a massive, massive hit here. We were flooded with a wait list. Those 3 years was amazing here for us for it in terms of the garden activity. It became pretty much one of the only places in town where you can actually go and enjoy outdoor recreational activity and not have to worry about this. So it was fantastic. We had a huge uptick in membership to the point that we actually had to put in a waitlist management system in 2020. It got so bad but good. We had to, and today it's still being used. We had to. It's just we had maybe 3 to 5 people a year, I believe, running on the wait list in years previous to this. During COVID, I believe the numbers were 20 to 25 on average. We'd have on a wait list for it, and we were at max capacity at those times, trying to get people in. So our capacity changed quite a bit over that time frame. Speaking of capacity, 23, 24, we noted that at the farmers market, we host about a 3 to 4 hour event. In that 3 to 4 hours, we sell about, on average, between 3 and 3,500 pounds of food. It's gone within the first hour. We It's just, it sells out very quickly. Lineups, they chew the food if it's gone. We talked about trying to increase some of that capacity because the farmers market plot and the donations from the members, it just, people were demanding more. So when the demand's there, you try to build for it. So what we did was we took 4 plots of land and we dedicated them to the community gardens that year. We're developing, as you can see, one right here is developed now. In 2025, we actually got some funding from different partners. One was CRS TV. They came through with about half that funding, and the Arna Company of Canada came out with the other half of that funding for us. We got these galvanized beds purchased. We were able to cover these plots over, and the idea is that we're going to grow food in them to sell back to the community again and put it back out there. But there's also a dual use capacity with some of these. So we can actually start looking at one of them is going to be just for cultivar generation. So starting to compare what cultivars grow well here. So people say, I use this beet, we use that beet. So what we want to do is take 3 or 4, adopt them, start growing them side by side, similar conditions, and treat them that way. See which cultivars actually do retain better here. And another plot we're going to take is going to be based on like a modern agriculture system versus a permaculture system. So um, based on a modern agriculture system, we'll do them side by side. And that's the picture you're looking at right here. 6 beds will be the exact same as the 6 beds on the other side. The only difference is the principles we're going to apply for the growth and the treatment of that soil. We're going to be applying permaculture on one side and modern agricultural practice on the other side. And we're going to start doing harvests and comparing it to show people that it's not just modern or permaculture that work. Both work. They just work at different capacities, and there can be a blended capacity for both when you're utilizing it. So we're trying to just highlight those principles through it as well, while growing food and trying to put it back in the community. So we have some continued partnerships. One's with Iron Rock. It's a brewing company here in town. They approached us a few years back. They have these grains you see here they use in their beer production. These grains, typically, most times they get thrown out. The sad thing is they can be used as a great green compost. These grains can. So what we've done is you'll see in the bottom picture, these are tote tanks, 1,100 liter tote tanks. We've got them, the tops are cut off of them. We provided these to the brewery. The delivery and transport is all taken care of by community partners for this. They store the grains into these totes. We're able to take these totes in and start utilizing them as green compost into our soils to actually increase organic matter and nitrogen retention later on down the road. It actually, on top of that, it saves about 15,000 liters of spent grain going into our landfill each year. And it's a win-win for them. They're not paying the tipping fees and the transport fees involved with getting rid of this waste. It's taken care of by us and reused into the garden locally here. And we've got some partnership with them as well. They bring grains in bags or 50 kg bags. We use those bags. They're like almost like burlap woven bags. They're fantastic for doing seed potatoes with. You can actually store them. They're wonderful for that storage. They keep all those for us. We go pick them up and reuse them every year. The Iron Company of Canada has helped us quite a bit over the years. They bought us a bulk of our tillers, the larger expensive tillers you see in some of the pictures there. They've also provided us 50% of the funding along with CRS TV for the food growth or capacity to expand that. And they also do all the drone imagery. I'll show you now what we're doing and some of the plans for some of our projects. They've done all this. Not just have they done the drone imagery for us, they've also given us access to their software that actually manipulates this. So we can actually start measuring, we can actually start making plans with it and recording this and mapping out the details of the garden, such as like right here. So this is some 3D modeling we're doing of the garden itself. This was for a hose layout. We were doing these totes I talked about earlier. There's 50 of them up there roughly, and we need a hose layout for this. So part of the orientation for some of the volunteers, we use this to get the measurements, how they're laid out, what path we take for it, and we fill them up. Another would be right here. So this is an overhead shot of the farmer's market plot, and this is the original right here. We're doing some plans now on expansion of that. So this is integral just to be able to sit down and measure this to see what this is. We can see heights of land, the whole bit. It's quite amazing actually what they've given us access to for the planning purposes. And another big one we have is McCain's. For the past 10 years, McCain's produce has been a huge supplier to us. We've shared them amongst some of the folks in Goose and as well as in Port Hope. We bring in about 4 to 5 metric tons of seed potato each year for the garden and for the community. So this is for cabin owners, cottage owners. They use it as well. We sell it into the community for them. The fertilizer and lime as well. We bring quite a bit of it in. They've been fantastic in terms of pricing. It's been great. Their pricing is great. The shipping prices aren't wonderful, but their pricing is fantastic. So McCain's has been a big player for us. Without this seed supplier, I'm not really sure how well we'd be doing for as a community garden. It's been really good. So just back in 2024, we started trying to figure out how much food are we actually producing at this garden. Um, what at what capacity can we say we need to increase more, or where should we be? So we started actually asking people to report on their plots, roughly how much food in terms of weight they're actually bringing out. We couldn't really break it down value between potato, carrot, or the specific vegetable. So we started getting this on average 224 pounds on every plot that we have. Some plots were well over 450, and you're talking some massive production for it. We know that we can be more for it, but some people don't want as much food for it the whole bit. But if you look at 168 plots at about 224 pounds per, we average on about 35 to 40,000 pounds of food is coming out of that garden each year on harvest. And just in perspective for it, the farmers market that same year, we only sold about 3,200 pounds of food in the span of that 3 hour period. So it's there's quite a bit of food coming out of that garden up there. The majority, I can promise you right now, is potato uh, and your culture specific foods for Newfoundland, but it's there. So, like every garden, we have some issues. So, water's been a big issue for us this past 3 years. I'm not sure what it's been like across the rest of Labrador, but I know we have a small river that runs through our garden. Typically, we're able to use pumps to all year long to fill up all of our totes on site to have access at different areas for it. Since 2024, we've seen that river run dry. And 2025, it was 24, it ran dry in about July. In 2025, the end of June, it was dry already. And typically it lasts the entire season. This year, we didn't see a river. It didn't come back this year. There was no overflow there for the river. The groundwater is drastically low in the area. And it's not just the river itself, it's the timing of the water. We're noticing the erratic climate change for the area. Typically, we see off and on rain during June, and August becomes a really rainy month around here. This year, we've seen about 6 to 8 weeks of almost drought in June, which is a vital time for seed planting. And just recently, it hasn't stopped raining since about mid July. So when we didn't really need a whole lot of water. So it's been up and down a bit. So we're having some water issues with it, but luckily we've been able to rely on local industry. They're using water trucks. They bring about 9,000 liters in a time. They top these totes up for us to allow us to actually keep going. It's been fantastic, actually. It's been a good partnership for us. So 100% free. The town of Lab City has been a big help, and Rumble's Plumbing has been a big help for us. So plot availability. Like I said before, we have a wait list every year. Since COVID, it's been pretty high. It hasn't been 3 to 5 no more. We're talking every year there's probably about 10 plots we probably can't give out to people. So if we could, we'd like to be able to expand that portion of the garden and have those plots available. I'd rather have too many than not enough, especially when people are showing an interest and reaching out to try and figure out, can we have a plot this year? So logistics and transport expenses become an issue, and I'm sure anybody who's living in Labrador, even in Newfoundland, can see that it's ridiculous. Some of the transport expenses are. On average, we're seeing about a 6 to 8% increase each year on what we're bringing in, and that's not. I don't mean your typical expense on small order items. I mean our bulk items. Like when we're bringing in our seed potato, every year it's going up, and it seems to be somewhat exponential. Um, Part of the reason why I want to bring it up here is actually because I'm sure everyone else is experiencing this as well. And it might be time for some of us to actually just have a chat about it and see, is there ways to offset some of these expenses versus two trucks coming in half full, the whole bit, just to try and cut back on them, some of them. I know if I talked to some of the folks down in Goose and in Port Hope, and they've been using some of these suppliers we are, there might be an opportunity there for us to double up and save some of those expenses and keep those costs low. And given the fact that we're a not-for-profit on top of that, it's worked as a business model for us, and it still works for us as a business model, but it does have restraints. Being a not-for-profit does. So, like I said, we don't have employees. We rely 100% on volunteers and our board to help us with our work and our community partners. So, if we wanted to expand and grow, it just requires more resource. So that's the time, the money, the whole bit. It's tough to try and get people to do more to produce for it. So we're lucky to have what we have so far. But the expansion is kind of where we see the not-for-profit model. It can be tough. So trying to attract more people and to give us a hand with these things is very, very difficult. So, but I'm sure everywhere you talk about with volunteer organizations these days, they say the volunteers is tough to attract and find. So, like I said, anybody has ways that they used to manage that issues or those gaps in their business, I'd be all ears to hear what you guys are doing. And for the future, what are some of our plans for the future? Some of these are wish lists, but some of these are some of the plans we want to go through. So, like I said, I wouldn't mind consulting with some of the local and regional players across Labrador to see what are some of the ideas you guys have for logistics. Um, how are you guys getting things shipped into you for cheap, or even how are you getting things in to try and save money? And is there any way we can help you guys save with that? Um, the greenhouse and seedling growth program. This is something we've talked about for years. I know Newfoundland offers one. They offer you can buy seedlings during the year, but it's trying to reduce those miles on that, get those food miles down. Shipping seedlings to Lab West from Newfoundland is quite a bit. So we looked at the possibility of even setting some over ourselves and going through it and utilizing that same program for workshops to try and teach people how to actually grow their own at home and do their own seedlings. The seed and harvest process and storage facility. We had a gap analysis session with this to try and find gaps in our capacity. And part of that is you want to find out anybody can come in and set up the land, grow the crops, and produce it. But at the end of the day, do you have any limiting factors afterwards, which is during the harvest process, packaging, storage portion of this? And that's one of the gaps we actually have is that we probably have a capacity for about, I would say, 1 to 2 weeks at best for holding on to something. So if for the food, if we actually wanted to increase any more capacity, we would need something for harvest process and storage, and probably have to expand that. So once again, with that expansion comes more hours, more money, more funding, especially in a not-for-profit model. So it can become difficult. It's one of those things we're looking at to see what funding or what appetite for funding is out there for it. So. And a children's gardening program, something we've talked about for years, to try and help close some of the gaps. There's a lot of skill sets that are being lost in gardening and agriculture. And we'd like to try and help close some of those gaps by opening a children's garden program, probably in part with the municipalities for their summer program activities, making a weekly event where we host something with them to bring children in to try and get their own gardens and dedicate areas in our garden for this. So again, anyone who has any children's gardening program experience, we're all ears just to hear ideas and what's worked for you guys and maybe what hasn't worked for you guys. So. And composting, we've had a lot of myths around composting in Lab West and in the North in general, to be honest. I do quite a bit into it. We've recently joined the Newfoundland Composting Cooperative just to try and get an idea about what Lab West's composting situation could look like or what it might look like. And if we can actually offer some insight towards what I would like to do here and what we can't do here. The composting side of this just falls line in line for us for the permaculture side of it. So we're really I'm really trying to push for this to see if we can and see where the composting goes. So the education adoption of permaculture principles falls right in line with this. We already kind of talked about it. It looks like it's been put on hold this year until as a winter project for 27-20 or 26-27. But right now we're on hold now trying to source local soils for the permaculture process. We don't want to use any imported soil for it. So we're trying to source a good local soil for this that we can actually utilize for that project. And that will be the raised beds we seen earlier, we reviewed, where we would compare modern agriculture to permaculture itself and utilize that. And as most organizations would have to do, in 2018 we incorporated, and since we haven't really updated or upgraded our governance strategies. When we incorporated, we're not really aligned with where we should be with that now. So what we're trying to do now is we have some draft policy put in place to try and update that governance strategy for ourselves so that we actually align with the way we operate now versus how we operated 20 years ago. So, and the last one, we're here today doing it. Labrador West, maybe some of you guys have seen the garden. Maybe some people have never passed through the garden or even seen it. I'm not sure. But being here today just to have the opportunity to explain what it is we do, where we are on the map, and some of the things we're trying to do, that collaboration goes a long way in terms of food security and sovereignty within our province and within our region. It's not just about growing food sometimes. A lot of times it's about sharing the ideas, the successes, the failures, the whole bit. So in recent, we're trying to collaborate a little more with Food First NL, as well as the Anti-Poverty Coalition as well, and as well as the Composting Cooperative. So hopefully all that goes well. All right, we can try to keep it sweet for you guys. The past 50 years, we've operated to some capacity, like I said. Maybe this is the first time some of you ever heard the scale of the Lab West Community Gardens itself. And I'm hoping it's not, but maybe it is. But me being here today doing this presentation for it and just sharing some of what we're doing here, I don't want to make it look like I'm the only person doing this. This has been 50 years of hard work for a lot of volunteers, a lot of folks in the community who pieced this together and envisioned this. I'm merely one person in a very large equation to all these solutions. So a lot of those folks are still here with us today gardening. So we have to give them credit for it. So other than that, I'd like to thank everybody for sitting around and listening to me talk about vegetables and growing here in Lab West. Anybody has any questions, please reach out. My personal email is here, and the community gardening email is here as well, at all. Also, all the pictures seen here today are ours. This is all pictures from our garden, what we're doing here in Lab West. So